Okay, everybody here, welcome to the Music and Widescreen podcast and YouTube channel. I would like to introduce to you the vocalist for Subterranean Masquerade. Let me get my head out of the way.
Hello.
This is Vidi. Vidi, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Hey, Mark. Thank you for having me, and hi, everyone, and nice to meet you.
It's great to have you here, and nice to meet you too, because this is one of those experiences where I'm like, I get 4 albums a day, let's say on average, right? And your PR firm sent me the album, and I'm like, okay, I put it in the queue, and then I'm listening to stuff. I'm usually kind of just doing this, like, nope, 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 and then I got to this album, and I'm like, hold on, what's this album? So Masquerade. I've never heard of them. This is how ignorant I am. Is this a debut album is what I asked myself. So I had to look you up and everything, but that is the furthest from the truth. The album has existed, or I'm sorry, the band has existed probably for 14, 15 years before you even joined the band. Is that correct?
Yeah, from 97.
97.
Tomer started the band in 97.
That's crazy. So let me ask you this. I know you weren't with the band, but can you have a sense of what the scene was like for metal in the 90s? Were you, I mean, I don't even know if you were alive in 97.
I was alive. I was alive in 97. I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
In 97. I just listened when I was 9. I just got my first hip hop. Like there was an Israeli hip hop band that sounded like the Beastie Boys, but in Hebrew. I was into that while Tomer formed the band Subterranean Masquerade.
So can you tell me, then to not get in that, can you tell me, do other like bigger, larger, well-known acts tour? Do they come to Israel at all? Like would a Dream Theater come there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Dream Theater Festival was here like I think 2 or 3 years ago. Everybody are coming nowadays.
Okay.
In the 90s it happened in the beginning, beginning of the 90s, bands like Carcass and Napalm Death. But the progressive scene, I think we see more and more shows the last 7 years. There is a production company here called Prog Stage and Raven Music, and they're bringing everyone. Dream Theater and Haken and Symphonix. We get to see them all.
Oh, nice. And so would it be accurate to say that the metal progressive scene is what it seems to be driving the progressive rock renaissance in the Middle East? Is that more so the case than the melodic stuff?
That's a hard question. That's a hard question.
I will say the Middle Eastern bands I know are metal, so that's kind of why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, I think something progressive is happening. I don't know if it's on purpose, but because of the region and because of all the cultures in the region and people trying to find their own voice, and not everyone are able to travel to Europe and produce with the best producers that are there. So people kind of need to invent their own thing.
Okay.
And I think that while people are inventing their own thing and being innovative about how to express themselves, there's progress into it. Just because it's from somewhere else, and then it's a mashup between what we hear in Europe and what we do here.
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. You guys toured with Orphanland, and the drummer was I'm not quite sure how he was involved in maybe the early days of Subterranean Masquerade. Have you ever met the drummer? Or you guys probably didn't overlap at all.
We're very good friends.
Okay.
Matan Shmueli from Orphanland.
Right.
He actually recorded, I think, this is our 5th release and this is our 6th release and 4th full-length album.
Right.
I think that Matan played all the albums. Matan and Tomer know each other from back then, and we're very good friends with Orphanland, and we toured with them twice. We did about, I think, a little bit more than 60 shows with them. I think so. Maybe I'm.
Yeah, but a good number, and
we're a lot.
Yeah,
a good amount.
Yeah.
And we're working with Matan, and we're working with Idan, their guitar player, and Kobi Farhi, their singer, sang in some of the back catalog of the band. So it's very, very tight.
Yeah, it looks
very,
tight,
very tight
from the videos that are your live shows. It looks like it's very intense, and it's something that probably can't ever be replicated on a media. You know, I think this is a show you really need to go to really get the music. It just seems just awesome, like out of control. Like I am kind of like, I need to keep an eye on you guys. I could definitely see me flying over an ocean to see you guys play. That's how much I think of this album in particular.
Very welcome.
Yeah, so I think it'd be great to see you guys.
Come over.
I will do it. I will tell you. I've done it before. So especially after hopefully get on the other side of this vaccine. The vaccine is pretty much anybody that wants it in America can get it at this point. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable getting around. How is the vaccine distribution going for you guys? Are you guys thinking about playing live, and what's the kind of general state of affairs?
We are actually already playing live here in Israel. 60% of the population has been vaccinated already.
Okay, great.
We got the shows running again. We launched the album 2 weeks ago in Tel Aviv. This was insane because so many people came. We knew people are interested, but after the COVID year, it was really like a gigantic show. People are very hungry for it. You know? So we're already booking the next stuff until the end of the year. We're gonna play in Romania in September, which they have live shows again and people can travel. Finally, things are looking better.
Right. And have you played Europe at all?
We really want to get to the US at some point.
Oh, you okay.
Sorry?
And have you played Europe at all, mainland Europe or anything yet?
We did a lot of Europe. The band actually started as a live band when it was invited in 2016 to play Prog Power Europe.
Oh, you guys are playing Prog Europe. Okay, great.
Yeah, and so this was like the, can I say, catalysator? This was the thing that like made the band from a studio project. It made the guy say, okay, we need to play live. And then we booked a tour around Prog Power. And from that point, we started touring Europe since 2016. We're trying to be there as much as we can.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I think that would go over. Right. And I think that would go over very well in there. And hang on, we're buffering just a little bit. Okay, it's back already. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So
you're back? Yeah,
back.
I see red.
We're back. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's very interesting because I'm sure that, how did that show go for you guys? Were you in the band at that point? Because you're right on the cusp of them coming, going from studio to live. Was that was not your gig, was it? The Prog Power one? It was. No.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
The singer that sang with them back then was Shetel Nod, who's from Green Carnation and Tristania.
Right.
He was the frontman of the band. And what happened was that the guys wanted to start touring, and Kjetil, that lives in Norway, had a tremendous success over there, and he couldn't make it. So they called me to see if I can substitute for him in the live experience. And we started touring and things clicked. And then I was invited to join to do this album, the Mountain Fever album. So this is the first album for me with the band. So I missed the Prog Power show. Yeah. So Prog Power Europe or Prog Power USA. I need it. Invite us.
That would be great. I'd love to see you in Atlanta. I would go check that out at any time. And that's a great.
We dream about it. We dream about Atlanta.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. And you guys are like a 7-piece or a 6-piece? 1, 2, 3. How many guys are?
Yeah, we are.
6.
We're quite a few.
Yeah, and it's like no stage can contain you guys, especially you jumping around, singing everywhere. I definitely you need a big stage like at Prague Power. And I think that
we would love that.
I've gone to those shows. They're outstanding. And I think people will be really. I mean, your vocals. I was so glad you were able to make this interview because your vocals are just outstanding. As a non-musician, I kind of like vocals more than maybe a musician would. I kind of look at that, and you are like on I think the first track. I mean, you're almost falsetto on the song, and then you're doing the growling, and I mean, sometimes you sound like Aretha Franklin. I mean, it's all over the place. I can't imagine that this was one guy. And I looked it up, like it used to be 2 vocalists, right? And you replaced everybody. Yeah. I mean, that's insane.
I replaced the other dudes, but I have a lot of respect to the other singers, to Kietel and to Eliran. I think they are masters at what they're doing.
Right.
But yeah, I was requested to, part of the thing was to make it more compact, and I could do most of the parts.
Right.
So we went for it, and I'm really happy you like it. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, it's really
it's very fun to shift. It's
great. Voices. I mean, I'm almost worried about listening to the back catalog now, but I'm
sure
I love it.
Go for it. Check it out.
I will. But yeah, so I'll mention like the falsetto part is, and actually this interview is me. If I can make amends, this is me making amends to not knowing you guys until now, which I love that lyric and that part. And that's when you go into the falsetto right after that lyric, right? If I can make amends, and I'm like, what is that? Is that the same guy? And then I'm listening to the video, Somewhere I Sadly Belong. And at times you sound like, is that you singing in that video, or is that a previous singer? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I am screaming all the parts. And in the chorus, we brought a gospel, we brought a gospel singer named Jackie Hall from Suffolk, Sweden.
Okay, so that's why it sounds almost like Aretha Franklin.
Doing that. Okay. Yeah, because she's like a British Aretha Franklin. That's not me.
Okay.
That's the part where we brought like Jackie to create a gospel choir.
All right, then I don't like you that much as I thought. So sorry about that.
No problem.
No, it's still great. I mean, it's outstanding.
I like Jackie too.
Yeah, I was wondering.
She's amazing.
She is. It did a great job on that song. And it's interesting. And there's some brass here and there. What is that? Is that a session singer? That's something you don't recreate in live on stage, or what? How does the brass come in? Do I hear that? Will I hear that on the earlier stuff as well?
You will hear it from the beginning of the band. There is a lot of usage of saxophones, just like in different ways. In the beginning, it was more like Pink Floyd, David Bowie kind of a vibe.
Right.
And the more we created the identity around the band, it was obvious that the brass should show or express the geographics of where we're from, and where our grandparents are from. So there's a lot of African influences, and there's a lot of Balkan, Romanian kind of influences on the brass sections that you hear on Mountain Fever.
Right. For sure.
We use on stage, we're using computers. We're still, and we're kind of working on a big show that hopefully a little later we're gonna do it with the live instrumentalists from the album.
Nice.
But it's totally there. It's part of the sound. We feel that it kind of expresses a lot of joy that we want to pass on to the audience.
Right. That's awesome. So tell me, usually I ask about the history of the band, but instead, let me ask you about your first show as fronting this band. What was that like for you?
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah.
First of all, it was fun. The first show I did with the guys was December 2017 at Reading 3 Club in Tel Aviv. This was the first time the band supported Orphanland.
Okay.
And I did it as a substitute for Kietel. And Eliran Weitzman, the former growler of the band, was there as well.
Right.
It was very interesting because it was a very big show, and we knew each other for very little time.
Okay.
So it was very interesting to see to experience how you click with people in the rehearsing space, and then what's going on stage.
Right.
And what went on stage was that we kind of found each other. You know, the guys like to party. I like to move a lot. But, you know, we couldn't see it in the rehearsing space.
Right.
We could feel each other. We could enjoy each other's musicianship.
Right.
But when it got on stage and the lights went boom.
Yeah.
Then we kind of knew that we have something special going on. So from that point on, after this show, I got invited to do the tour. And then from that point, it became more and more, you know, a very strong love affair and bromance and musician romance.
Right.
So I remember it as very cool. And it was very cool to see a lot of people that didn't know about us in Israel.
Right.
Because it was only a studio project.
Right.
So a lot of people were exposed for the first time, and it was very nice to feel so welcome and so understood.
Right. Well, that's great because, you know, that could go a couple of ways, right? Because you weren't part of the band prior. Now, granted, they hadn't played live before. So, you know, there could have been like a little bit like, oh, you know, we lost our vocalist type of thing, but there was still one vocalist there from the previous studio albums. And of course, you're opening for somebody. So they're not really there for you. A lot of the people, they're there for Orphanland. And so that's pretty good that it went as well as it did. Plus, there must have been, I mean, that's 7 people on stage at that point, probably, maybe. And there could have been a lot of chaos going on as well. I'm sure there was some.
At some points, yeah.
So so it's really good that you were kind of like, okay, this is working. You know, and it's sad that it's kind of followed by some tough decisions, because when you're with a band, whether it's 2 people or 6, everybody's got to be on the same page. You're going to want to rehearse the same amount. You're going to want to have to tour the same amount. You're going to have to want to, you know, write the same amount and rehearse, you know, and figure out how many, you know, so of course, you know, that led to some turnover, because now obviously here we are, we're changing the mission statement of the band. Right now we are a live band. We're forced to be reckoned with, right? You know, and we got we need a booking guy. We need to kind of there's a lot of more man hours involved now. So, so that's the bad side. But I think what you've come up with ultimately is just this, you know, if Subterranean if this album is any indication of what's to come, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be excited about this, and I'm excited about it just for itself. And then I'm doubly excited about it because of it's coming from Israel. And like I said, like what I think could be a real, you're going to be able to turn so many people on to progressive rock. And that's really my mission statement, is to actually get more people involved and enjoying progressive rock. There's so many people, there's a lot of people that wouldn't like it. No problem. I get that. But there's so many people that would like it that have no idea it exists, you know, and that's the problem.
I agree with you.
I'm trying to solve over here. And I think that the Middle East could be an interesting area where people could make their own decision if they like it or not, which is not possible in America, because you just can't, you got to actually go look for it. Is there a chance for you to get actually any airtime in Israel? Or is there not really a radio station that plays this type of music?
There is one radio station called The Rock Radio.
Okay.
And these guys, it's pretty cool. It's some sort of cooperative. They decided that they don't have enough rock and roll and metal, and they just created a Kickstarter to start a station.
Oh, nice.
So and it succeeded. It succeeded. So now we have a rock station in Israel, something that we didn't have 5 years ago, until 5 years ago.
Wow.
So this is great. We get air.
Okay.
All of our singles get into the charts. We're very happy. We are we're feeling very good with the guys. We get the support that we dreamt of, and it's happening here, which is amazing because we cannot travel right now, you know, because of COVID and everything. So to be able to put out an album and have an audience, when you said it yourself that not everybody knows that they're gonna like prog rock, so but now I think it's very cool because something is cool happening that the audience cannot go and see bands from abroad right now. So they have to discover the music that they have back home.
Yeah, that's
and that's one of the advantages of COVID. I think that we get to experience our own homes as tourists again.
Right. And it's nice that you're able to incorporate sounds of your area in this music. It's certainly apparent maybe on first listen, and then as you listen to it more, maybe I started to notice even some more influences of the area. But I kind of like it. It's not like it doesn't kind of like hit you over the head with how, you know, where, you know, this music is definitely from the Middle East, right? Because it has these couple things in there, but it's more subtle than that most of the time. Sometimes it's very obvious. There's maybe a clarinet or something. I can't quite remember parts that sounded like maybe it's a song called Snake Charmer. So I think it obviously had some Middle Eastern.
It has some elements within the layers. There are so many layers over there. We recorded this album through, I'm not exaggerating, 10 different studios in order to make it happen.
I think I saw
so many instruments.
There's some like drummer. The drummer was in Sweden or something like that. I'm not even quite sure, but that was this album. But
we went to Sweden with Matan. We traveled to Sweden to Fascination Street to work with David Castillo, that is working with Leprous and Opeth and everybody. And then we recorded, all the percussions were recorded in Berlin. And then we did in Golan Heights on the Syrian border. We did all the strings, and the vocals were done in Tel Aviv, and it was all over the place because we were looking for the right instrumentalists to do this thing. And sometimes you find the right person, but they're not in the right space. So we didn't want to compromise. We didn't want to compromise on the human element of things. We wanted very specific people to join, and we wanted very specific people to play the parts that we wrote. We needed their soul, we needed their articulation. So eventually the production went very, very wide when it comes to amount of studios. And then Jens Bogdan in Sweden mixed everything.
Yeah, because I did notice a little bit of that. I didn't realize the quite the magnitude of the work that needed to be done, which kind of speaks to how this band has transformed over the last 6 years, going from studio only to and not only is it not studio only, it's not one studio only. It's like all of Europe is involved in getting this thing together. So
it's everywhere.
it's even if it was only a studio album, it still would have been such a much grander, more ambitious album. And how did Mountain Fever come about? I mean, what's the name? How did the name come about? I mean, Mountain Fever.
The name of Mountain Fever was, as I mentioned before, Tomer lives on the Syrian border in Golan Heights.
Okay.
This area is very beautiful. and it used to be a volcano.
Oh, okay.
So now it's like a numb volcano. It didn't erupt for
it's pretty much
a long time.
Right.
But you can imagine the ground, the kind of stones and everything.
Right.
And it's very high.
Right.
It's very high, and it's on the top of the border of Syria. It's like the end of Israel.
Right.
And he lives there on a mountain.
Right. Wow.
Now, usually what happened with Tomer and Subterranean Masquerades in the back catalog was that whenever Tomer wanted to write an album, he left Israel. So one album he was working in Brooklyn, and one album most of the albums were done and were written in India, in Rishikesh and Dharamsala and places like that. And this was actually the first album that Tomer wrote from the beginning to its end in his own home. It was a very tough winter.
Yeah.
And the way to pass through the winter, survive the emotions that the winter brought with was mountain fever. So the music was the cure.
Right.
And he was trying to talk about how is it to be stuck on a mountain.
Right. Right. That's
so
pretty.
The fever is kind of a spiritual fever.
Right. Right.
And the mountain is this, numb volcano between Israel and Syria.
That's interesting because we hear about island fever and stuff. If you live in Hawaii, for instance, you might have island fever because you can only go 3 miles in every direction and you're done, right? So people get a little bit claustrophobic at times, and so it's kind of sounds like a kind of a similar situation for him, especially somebody that looks to get away when he's writing. So that's kind of interesting. So he just basically makes a journey somewhere, kind of like goes somewhere to get centered to write an album. That's his kind of deal, huh? Interesting.
Exactly. He really needs to get away from everything.
Right.
But I think that the fact that we started performing created a change in the way that the music is made, because suddenly we had a different kind of dialogue with the audience.
Right.
So I think that allowed him to also stay home and work from home and talk about and express whatever he wanted to express from his home, because we were traveling, we tried the music in front of the audience, we saw what's working.
Right.
So I think he had a lot of notion of what needs to be done.
Okay. So people heard this before it was in print. It was kind of a work in progress live for a while.
Some of the songs were exposed live during our tours. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've noticed that things go are much. I happen to seem to like albums that had that exposure to the fans that can be kind of reworked and such. And I've heard from other bands that after playing it live, they kind of wish they could kind of go back, or they actually even do go back and they will re-release. So it's great to have that ability to play stuff live before you play it, or before you put it down in print for I don't know, forever, or whatever you want to say, actually have a merchandise product with the notes kind of frozen in time anyway. So that's great. So
yeah, I agree.
So you've got so it sounds like things are going really well for the band, as far as can be right now with the COVID happening. And we'll make sure to keep up with what's going on here. I'm going to listen to the back catalog and try and get you guys even a little more exposure. I just really want to say that I get like I said, I get probably in the neighborhood of 1,000 CDs or submissions a year, and I very rarely call back anybody. Then this album, like I said, is not only worth an interview. It's like I said, it's worth traveling over an ocean to see. I will definitely keep an eye out for you guys, and maybe we'll get to meet somewhere in Europe, or who
I
knows,
hope so.
maybe Atlanta. I did want to mention, like I said, this is a great album. I suggest everybody check it out.
Thank you.
And I want to say that because for me, I'm very borderline with growling vocals, right? Between the Buried and Me, for example, is too far a pill for me to swallow.
Okay.
You know, Devin Townsend at times cannot do. But this album, even though it has some growling in it, don't let it dissuade you, because the harmonies and the songwriting around the growling makes it perfect. And the growling, I kind of think growling for me needs to be like nudity for people in movies, where it needs to be, it needs to have a reason for existing. It's not growling for growling's sake.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's because
I really know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're trying to get something across here in the message. You know, this is where we are in the story. Perfect example for a lot of people that are watching this video is Loser from Arion with Devin Townsend doing the vocals, where it's one song with 80% growling on there. But hey, he's playing a character. This is a voice inside the main James LaBrie's head talking to him in this manner. Makes perfect sense that this is happening. So I got a voice in my head saying I'm a loser, and that's what it's going to sound like. It's more of the musical, the dichotomy of, you know, the growling versus this wonderful melody that comes before or after it. You know, they set each other up, you know, like a little bit, almost like dissonance, like growling is the dissonance to make the melody even sound that much more melodic, you know?
I think you got it.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Okay.
I'm very happy to hear you say it. It's very cool to hear someone like understanding it, because we really didn't want to do it just because we can.
Right.
You know, it was never about that, at least for me.
Right.
To use the voice, you need an emotional indication that will justify itself. So
right.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Sure, and I think that the live show is got to go off the rails during those times. I think because it is so well measured when you're doing the growling and when you're not. I just think that there's just got to be some craziness. I mean, I could just imagine being in that audience. I basically would have to get there early. So if I come to Europe, you're going to have to get me in early, so that at 5'4", no I can see what's going on, and my wife at 4'11" can avoid the mosh pit behind us.
Yeah, you just join us on the wings of the stage, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
I'm a short dude as well.
Okay, well, cool. It's like
I know. We know each other troubles.
Where can we get the album digitally and in America and Europe and your home country? What's the best way for people to get this album?
Okay, first of all, you're very welcome to join us on our official website, submusk.net. We have the shop over there. You can get all the merch, you can get the vinyls, you can get CDs, the back catalogs, this album. Besides that, we are signed with American Sensory Records, The Laser's Edge. So you guys can go to their website and go nuts with so many cool albums that Ken has over there. So it's really, really great. You can find it everywhere on Amazon and anywhere that you're looking for. We're there. We're on the streaming platforms, on all of them.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
All right.
You know, we're there waiting for you.
All right, great. Because yeah, it's a great album. I'm glad to hear that it's very ubiquitous here in America, because that's always seems to be the problem when I'm interviewing somebody. It's tough to find the album.
It's over there. It's over there waiting for the American people to grab it.
Cool. And for those of you that don't know Ken Golden by name, yeah, he is Sensory Records. I think he's also, I have to think of the name of his Laser's Edge is also his store.
Laser's Edge.
Yeah. And if you ever been to Rozfest, he's one of the two tables that's selling just monstrous amounts of CDs. So Ken's definitely a guy that you want to patronize. He's in it for the love of the music. You know, Vidi, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna let you get back on you with your evening, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me today. And again, congratulations on this album. I hope that people love it as much as I do, and that you guys
I hope so too.
You get some decent you get some shows with some big fans. You won't be the supporting artist. There'll be people there wearing your T-shirts and being there for you. I think that if that's not happening, it's about to happen, because this is really a momentous album. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you for having us, and thank you for using the platform that you have to expose us to new people. And hi, everyone, once again, thank you so much. I hope that we meet live.
It's Vidi, right? Is how it's what you go by, VID.
Yeah, that's my friends call me Vidi. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll call you David. See, I don't know you.
We're friends.